And of course, in a few minutes from now, Joy News will be holding that national dialogue on illegal mining at the Labadi Beach Hotel. We'll bring you live footages as and when the event starts. But we can now cross over to Parliament. The Education Minister has been appearing before the House on matters relating to the reopening of schools. There you see him on the floor answering some questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honourable members, you heard the minister. I'm sure we'll take how many from each side? Not necessarily. Those who want to contribute will go by that. All right, Deputy Ranking.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And let me thank the minister for attending upon the House to speak to what has clearly engaged the attention of our nation. Mr. Speaker, the minister quite clearly has tried to justify why first-year students should be reporting today to commence registration processes towards the resumption of academic work. Mr. Speaker, as representatives of the people, this matter became a matter of concern and was brought before the House because of the complaints and the concerns that we have received as representatives of the people. Mr. Speaker, the minister raises the issue of engagement, and that clearly piques my appetite, because if that were to be the case, then I fail to understand why teacher unions, including NAGRAT, and the umbrella body for parent teachers associations in the country would all complain about the date communicated for first-year students to report. The Speaker, the minister speaks about publicizing the calendar on the 23rd of November 2023. Yes, it is the case that this may have been done. But, Speaker, you would agree with me that it is one thing to anticipate that your ward will do well and be placed in his or her school of choice. And it is another thing to actually get to know that your ward has been placed, and therefore you need to mobilize the needed resources to prepare your ward to report in school. In another way, I am making allusions to financial challenges, even within the context of the quote-unquote harmonized prospectus. Mr. Speaker, many parents are really hard up. The conditions of our nation today in terms of resources and the resource availability is a challenge, even for government. We all know parents have gone through haircuts of all manners. There are those parents whose resources have been locked up in banks that have been collapsed. There are those who are dealing with microfinance companies whose resources are locked up. And according to international bodies, in excess of 800,000 Ghanaians who hitherto had the wherewithal to fend for themselves have all now fallen below the poverty line. So when the minister speaks about shortening the process, introducing a harmonized prospectus, well and good. But what quantum of money does a parent need to be able to buy all the items on the harmonized prospectus? Just because even the cost of a chobox, I'm not even talking about a trunk, is more than 200 Ghana cedis. And we are not even going to go through the list and talk about every single item. By my own rough estimates, at the very minimum, a parent will not require less than 3,000 Ghana cedis. Minimum, I say minimum, Mr. Speaker, minimum threshold would not require less than 3,000 Ghana cedis to prepare a ward to go to school. As we speak, almost all of us have received calls, messages. Yes, Honorable Kofandapoy, he has been crying the whole day about how parents have lined up in his office, asking for money to prepare their award for school. So the issue of parents' inability to mobilize the requisite financial resources to prepare their awards to go to school, Mr. Speaker, cannot be swept under the carpet. Mr. Speaker, then we have the issue of even the timelines. I understand that we want to go back to pre-COVID academic timetable and times. But should that be done to the detriment of students, teachers, and parents? Even the teachers are complaining. They have complained publicly that many of them have not had a break since the inception of the double track system, and that they would have thought that this period to where you suggested we look at reopening the schools, which will be the first week in January, would have allowed them to catch a break, to reinvigorate, so that they can better serve our students. So if the teachers have also complained publicly, then when and where did the consultation take place? Because if it did, they should not be complaining. And the dates, they will go to school on the 4th today, they will break, according to the minister, 21st, come home, and then go back. Mr. Speaker, just imagine a student going from Accra to your alma mater, Damascus, and then having to come back, and then having to go again. The issue of time, resources, and even a higher risk of limb and lives. The more frequently you travel, the higher the propensity. It is. So, Mr. Speaker, I believe very strongly that the case that we made, asking the minister to reconsider the reopening date to address these matters, is a reasonable case, and many Ghanaians are looking up to us. Thank you for indulging me, Mr. Speaker.
Ranking member.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as alluded to by the Minister for Education, I raised the issue last Thursday, and based on that, the House debated or discussed it, and we came to the conclusion that the Minister would have to come to the House and explain to us the rationale behind the fixing of that date. Mr. Speaker, the statement was not made out of malice against anybody. It was made based on people's sentiments, concerns raised by people, teachers, parents, and all those who are affected by the placement exercise. Yeah, the minister tried to explain that we needed to go back to pre-COVID period. I agree with him. But given the circumstances now, we need to look at it carefully. The GES did very well with that of the basic school, that they have gone back to the pre-COVID period. But the approach of the secondary school system is not the best. Now, all other countries, especially in West Africa, have gone back to the pre-COVID period. But why is Ghana not able to make these secondary schools go back to the pre-COVID period? That is what the minister needs to explain to us. What challenges are there that you are not able to migrate or go back to the pre-COVID period with secondary schools? We need to know that. Okay, fine. Mr. Speaker, he also mentioned that they have placed about at least 81% of qualified candidates. At the time the placement came out, we were told that we had about 108,000 yet to be placed. He has not given us the number that has been placed so far and what number is left to be placed. That is very, very necessary for us to know as a house, so that we know that from that time, this is the number that is left to be placed. Mr. Speaker, I also wish that the minister could have told us, or the House, why he did not even get in touch with the leadership of the House or the Speaker before the GS or his ministry came out with the directive, after the Speaker had directed that he should probably reconsider the reopening date. But what we saw in the press or in the air, heard in the air, was as if he did not want to listen to the House or the Speaker. I think he needs to explain that position to us or to the Speaker so that we will take it from there. But I think the appeal still stands that the ministry and the GS should reconsider the reopening date. This is because not everybody has been placed as at now, and that is very, very important. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Ablakwa.
I'm most grateful, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, this matter is a very important issue of tremendous national concern. It is a public interest matter, and it is about the education of our young compatriots. It is not a matter that we can toy with or we can take lightly. Right Honourable Speaker, the first issue I thought the Honourable Minister of Education will address in his presentation to the House today is why the Ministry of Education flagrantly, blatantly defied this House. We had an extensive discussion. There was a statement duly admitted by the Speaker, and the Right Honourable Speaker issued a directive on this matter. There was a press statement to that effect, because all efforts, I was in the chamber that day, all efforts to reach the minister failed. I was here. I see people who were not here last week, Thursday, screaming and trying to intimidate me, but I refused to be intimidated. I was here, and I know what transpired. For the first time, this House, I have been here 3 times. I don't remember when this House worked with the Speaker to draft a press statement for the consideration of our PR unit. That is how important this House considered this matter. So I was expecting that even if the Honourable Minister disagrees out of respect for this House, which he is a member of, I don't believe that the Honourable Minister of Education would disrespect a House that he is a member of. But that's what he has done. Knowing that he has been summoned to appear before us today, what stopped him from waiting instead of asking his PR unit to issue that counter statement, which put Parliament on a collusion course with his ministry? I thought that show of power, that flexing of muscles. The Honourable Minister is my very good friend, and he knows that one of my qualities is that I tell my friends the truth, and I tell them in their face. I was in the constituency throughout the break, and the number of parents who came to my house who were calling me that we listened to you people in the House, we got a sense of what you, our representatives, have said. And then
live pictures from Parliament there on SHS reopening, but it's time for us to cut through on that and also tell you about the national dialogue happening on illegal mining organized by Joy News. We'll be taking you there shortly, but we're taking a break when we return. And in a few minutes from now, we'll be crossing over to the Labadi Beach Hotel. But the Education Minister is expected to provide some answers to the concerns being raised by MPs on school reopening. We'll just take you back to Parliament to get, a bit of the live feed. Samuel Okujeto Black on the floor there. Right after this, we'll take you to the Labadi Beach.
Right, but really, it's costing some people about 7,000, 8,000 cities to put all of these things together, depending on which school you're attending. Plus transportation, the cost of transportation. If you are moving from North Town, for example, to Wa Senior High, or even to Presec, the one and only Presec Lagos, or to Adisadel, look at the distance, look at the cost of transportation. Teenagers going to these places they've never been to. And then, Mr. Speaker, the other issue which I raised last week relates to those of us in the flood-affected constituencies. We have not been told what the arrangements are. An Honourable Minister knows. I've been on his case. I've called several times. Mefes and Kizito Senior High Technical School, where displaced persons are. What happens to them? What happens to them? Are we going to watch that secondary school collapse? That is our flagship secondary school. It has done well to take care of displaced persons, 1,500 displaced persons. Is this how to reward them? Is this how to pay them back by collapsing the school? So the engagement. Yesterday I met with the Mefe chiefs, and they are nobody knows what's happening. The headmaster was there, the district director of education. I called the minister. I called him. Yes, I called him. I've said that already. I've been calling the minister on this matter, but nothing is conclusive. So for those of us in the flood-affected constituencies, our schools run the risk of collapsing. So there are serious issues that if the Honourable Minister had listened to the wisdom of Mr. Speaker, the teacher unions, and these representatives to shift the reopening to January, then we can give ourselves time to resolve all of these matters. How do we relocate displaced persons in schools like Mefes and Kizito? And how do we quickly then, fumigate, decontaminate, and prepare those schools? A lot of them have lost their furniture. They've lost a lot of items in the school because of what is happening there. Then you replace them. The minister has not presented us with any program for schools like that. So, Mr. Speaker, there's a lot of work that has to be done. As for this return to the pre-COVID era, I don't know why the sudden rush. You have not been in any hurry at all to return to the pre-COVID calendar. Even in terms of the final exams, we are no longer writing WASSCE with our colleagues in Gambia, Sierra Leone, Liberia, and the rest. Now it's GASSCE, and you are not in a hurry to move from GASSCE to WASSCE. So how come suddenly, overnight? And this is not, it's not this, Mr. Speaker, we all know first week, when we report in school, orientation, people trying to settle in, there will be no studies going on. So people are just going to school for just a few days, really, less than a week. And then they have to return for the Yuletide break, 21st December. So really, what do we achieve, really? What do we achieve? So it's not practicable. So the Honourable Minister of Education cannot be the only one who is right, who has all the wisdom, and everybody else, all the unions, the Speaker, MPs, everybody doesn't understand education. Only the minister is right. I cannot fathom what is going on. So, Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Minister must come again. If not, some of us may be compelled to see our friend slag it out at the Privileges Committee. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable, is that Chairman for Constitutional Legal?
Speaker.
Yes, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity given me. May I use this opportunity to thank the Minister very much for heeding to the call of the Honorable Speaker. In the morning, I remember the Honorable Speaker said that he should be here before 12:30, and I think he was here at 11:40. Mr. Speaker, the Minister had taken us through the questions that we had asked. Why was the school opened suddenly? This is a minister that oversees a lot of agencies, including that of the Ghana Education Service. This House had passed an act, and this regulates the Ghana Education Service. They have been given powers to do a lot of things for us as a country, including running the education service in this country. Mr. Speaker, when we had COVID, Ghana Education Service regulated the schools. Nobody complained. The academic calendar changed. Ghana Education Service, we have given them the powers, and they have committees and bodies that had gone through the system. I am taken aback, especially when members of this House who have lived at the ministry and knows the relationship between the Ghana Education Service and the ministry are still complaining. The minister explained that there is a harmonized prospectus. I do not know, Mr. Speaker, if we extend the time, parents are not going to buy the things anyway. The students had written exams for more than 3 months and had been at home. If you are a parent, you know that your ward would have to go to school. And most of the time, in this House, we have complained that children had stayed at home and some are pregnant, especially when we had the COVID era. When they had finished their exams and they had released their results, why do we keep them at home? People are complaining that the distance, if they have to go to, somebody said that if you have to go to Damascus. Is it the case that if we go for 3 months notice or 1 year notice, the distance, the person or the student will not travel that distance? I do not understand the reasoning that we are giving for the action of the Ghana Education Service. At any rate, Mr. Speaker, the Ghana Education Service have given the directive and the students are in school already. The minister had given us the statistics of the number of students that had been placed. Unfortunately, we probably do not have the number of students that have reported at the various schools. If we have them, that about 10% or 20% had reported, then we may have a cause to complain. But not when the students are already in school. Do we want the minister to direct the Ghana Education Service to now call the students that they should come back home and then we give another time for them? Mr. Speaker, this will lead to absurdity. I don't think we need to disturb the academic calendar, especially when the minister has said that we would want to go to the pre-COVID session. This is a session that was running. Nobody complained about this session. We were all comfortable. Then we were hit by COVID. And then most of the things changed. And the ministry, and for that matter, the Ghana Education Service would want to correct this. And we have a problem with this. I do not have a problem with this. And I think that we need to commend the ministry for that. If we have said that a directive had been given to the ministry and they had not obliged there, I am not sure whether we have given a directive. But we should be careful as a house, because if we say that this house is going to direct the Ghana Education Service and for that matter, Ministry of Education, we are also going to direct Ministry of Health. We are also going to direct Ministry of Education and all other agencies that we work with. It is for no reason, it is for a reason that we are giving them the mandate and the power and the law to work with. If they have not contravened any law, Mr. Speaker, I think we need to encourage them for what they do in order that we could all benefit from that. What I think every parent should do, things are hard. Every parent should do is that when your child had written an examination and had passed and had been placed, the next level is that the child must go to school. Whether the child stays at home for a week or for a month or 2 weeks, the child would have to go to school. If they don't go now, we'll complain that the children are staying home doing nothing. And therefore, let us encourage the Ghana Education Service and for that matter, the ministry. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. And I thank the Ministry of Education as well.
Yes, MP for Bole.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very grateful.
What are you doing?
Mr. Speaker, in the morning,
you want to run the house for me? From the very beginning, please, wait. From the very beginning, I asked leadership, how many from each side of the house? Please, 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 please. I didn't hear any response. Then, he just said it. I'm talking from the very beginning, when we started the debate. Then I asked, or should I allow anybody who wants to talk? What I saw was body movement from you. That I saw. From the majority leader, I saw his body movement. I turned to the majority, body movement. Then we started. A number stood from this side. I listened to one. I turned to your side. Nobody stood. Then I turned this way, and a number of them were on their feet again. I listened to the other one. I turned to your side. Nobody stood up. Then the third person is when I turned, my attention was drawn to two in front of me. And I allowed one. How can that be the practice that we do 4-4? How? Please. How can that be the practice? Because the practice when we say 4 on each side of the house, when one speaks from this side, another one will speak from the other side, then I turn. That is how we do it. Please. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker,
yes.
When you asked about the number, we were confirming, the two of us, and we said 4-4. Maybe, admittedly, we did not speak to the microphone. And because you were looking at us, in fact, I signaled. If he signaled first, and I said, okay, 4-4, plus him. Because you were looking at us, I thought that you had gotten what we were saying. Because the two of us, we spoke to ourselves that it should be 4-4. The Speaker, after the first 1 year from the other side, nobody was up here. It was Ayimedu who was moving and came here. At the time you had called the second person. Ayimedu got up after the second person. And he said maybe because we were not recognizing where he was sitting, was moving back to his place. That's why he moved there. So that is the reality. But Ato is here. He will confirm what I've just said.
Mr. Speaker, indeed, between us, we agreed 4-4 plus leadership. Mr. Speaker, the truth is that we did not communicate to you. In fact, but between us, we agreed 4-4. However, Mr. Speaker, it should be noted that when you called the first person here, nobody stood up from this side. And it happened the second time. It was after Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa spoke that somebody stood up from this side. Mr. Speaker, since then, I saw two people. That is what it is. Because I was watching carefully. So, Mr. Speaker, it's Honorable Ayimedu and Honorable Carlos that stood up from the other side after Honorable Okujeto Ablakwa spoke. Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Speaker, in spite of that, I think we can make progress by allowing the speakers to make their statements, and then the leaders can also conclude. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very grateful. Mr. Speaker, in the morning when this issue was raised, I had the opportunity to speak, and I said that I was speaking as a parent and also as a member of this august House. Mr. Speaker, it should be noted that this House, we have an oversight responsibility. We represent the good people of this country. And when there are issues that are reported to us, it is our responsibility to discuss.
And we'll bring you updates subsequently. But it's time now to cross over to the Labadi Beach Hotel, where the national dialogue on illegal mining is underway. We can now take you there.